Hello, I'm Nick.
And I'm Dee, and this is the first video of Nick and Dee's F1 chat. So what we're going to do is, first of all, I should say we are a father and son team who enthusiastically follow Formula One. So we're gonna, in our first video today, we're gonna deal with a few questions that we've got. And I'm going to read out a question, and maybe Nick, you'd like to try and answer this one. So the first question we've got is, Mercedes seemed to be catching up at the end of last season, but it was a little bit too late. In the first race of this season, which was Bahrain, as we know, they seem to have fallen hugely behind again. Why is that, Nick?
Well, a lot of people are saying it's the small side pods. I don't think that's the problem. I think it's the overall car that's the problem. And I think Mercedes could have developed a car that was much better, but they went down a route with a car that isn't very good. But because they've got great engineers and they're used to winning, they've managed to improve that car that's not very good. So now it's an okay car, but they really need to go down a different route, I think. They really need to abandon this, I think.
Yeah, do you think they're improving a lemon, Nick?
I guess you could say that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Could well be. Could well be. We'll find out. So next question is, in your opinion, will Red Bull be challenged by either Mercedes or Ferrari this year? Ferrari has terrific drivers, qualifies well, but obviously has some, certainly last year, made some questionable strategy decisions, and they've had reliability issues in the first race of this year, but also last year. What's your predictions on this, Nick?
Yeah, I don't really see anybody catching up to Red Bull, honestly, this year. I think Mercedes have the reliability, but they're slow, and Ferrari don't have the reliability, and they're not as fast as Red Bull, as you saw with them coming third and fourth, and Red Bull 1-2. But another contender we could talk about is Aston Martin finishing third, and Lance Stroll finishing ahead of George Russell in sixth.
Yeah, I'm just looking through. Let's come back to Aston Martin, because they're obviously an interesting one. Just sticking with Mercedes and Ferrari at the moment. So, yeah, Ferrari seem to same procedure as last year, really. So far, remains to be seen. Only one race in so far, but similar issues, similar situation going on as I said to last season. Mercedes, well, what can we say about Mercedes? I mean, I think I agree with Nick generally that they just seem to have gone down a direction which I'm not sure they can easily get themselves out of. Don't forget, we've got budget caps as well in Formula One, so it's not just like you can throw money at the problem. I hope we're not facing a situation where Max is just going to be flicking up his visor, watching. Has he got a screen in that car?
I don't know, but I think he could actually kick up his legs and enjoy the ride.
I think he might have a bit of in-car entertainment in there, Nick, where you can watch a couple of videos while he's cruising around.
I think he can press a button and start watching.
Let's hope this doesn't happen,
Start watching.
because we want an interesting season, don't we? Yeah.
Start watching some of the other drivers.
We want an interesting season. We won't. I don't want to get the year wrong. 2020 again.
Yeah, it was like.
That's what we all want, isn't it?
Lewis Hamilton with 500 points.
Yeah. Question 3 actually is about Lewis. Lewis was still able to make up 2 positions. I think from his starting position.
Yeah, he started 7th and finished 5th.
And you did some calculations, Nick. And I think what did your calculations show?
Well, Lewis finished 50 seconds behind.
51, I think it was.
No, it was 51. Yeah, behind Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
And there were 57 laps. So if you divide
Bit of math here for you guys.
51 divided by 57 is 0.9. So Lewis Hamilton was 9/10 slower every lap on average than Max Verstappen.
Which in Formula One is a country mile. So
whereas in real life it's less than a second.
in real life, less than a second is not very much, but in Formula One, it's
a lot.
A huge, what's the right expression?
It's like a landslide almost.
A landslide. Should we call it a landslide?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I forget what the question was. Now, Lewis was still able to make up 2 positions despite being... Why was he able to make up 2 positions? Well, I think a couple of things that are still... I mean, first of all, maybe the Mercedes, in some aspects, it's not that slow, certainly compared to a lot of the other cars on the grid. Over 1 lap with the right tyres on, probably the reds, do you think? The soft tyres?
Yeah. Also,
yeah.
My interpretation on that is that I think they made up 2 positions mostly because Lewis had a great start, went in front of Russell. Russell never really got in front, and then, of course, Lewis overtook Lance Stroll, who wasn't one of the best drivers on the grid.
Oh.
So, yeah, I'd say that. Obviously, Fernando Alonso.
And with 2 broken wrists.
Yeah,
and
a broken toe.
And a broken toe.
Yeah.
Didn't do too badly then.
Yeah.
Overall.
And he's not the worst driver on the grid, but he's also not the best.
Who's the worst
in the middle.
on the grid?
The worst driver is probably... I mean, there's a lot of new drivers, so I don't really know. Maybe...
Oh.
I haven't really seen a lot of drivers, so... I don't know who's the worst driver. What about you?
Who's the worst driver on the grid? It's only 1 race into the season. I don't think we've got... no, I'm not going to say who's the worst driver on the grid. I think there's a few candidates, but yeah, let's not talk about the worst. But this question is about drivers. So, Nick de Vries, Oscar Piastri, Logan Sargent, and Nico Hulkenberg. Obviously, Nico Hulkenberg's an old hand who's come back into it. Thoughts on the new drivers, Nick, and their performances?
Well, you didn't really see Nick de Vries. Piastri retired. Logan Sargent wasn't that great, and Nico Hulkenberg dropped 7 or 8 positions. Right. So I don't think they were very good.
First race though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Nick de Vries and Piastri. We've seen him. Nick and I play the Formula One game, and in F2. Those guys have been big for quite a while now, so they're well known in motorsport circles. They're top up and coming stars. Look, we're one race in. We've got to give them more chance than that. Nico Hulkenberg's a bit of a known quality or package, let's say. He's been around a while. He's a good steady driver, possibly a bit more than that. Let's see. Let's bring it to question 5, and this is possibly, I was going to say possibly the best question, but it's a nice question. Fernando Alonso. He's a great driver, so it's never a surprise when he drives well, but what a drive that was from Fernando. Thoughts on Fernando's drive?
Well, his drive was honestly great. I think he overtook Lewis, which was great, and he obviously...
You thought that was great?
Yeah, he obviously...
The overtake was great.
Yeah, he obviously also held off Lewis in Hungary 2021, so Ocon won his first race, and also the overtake on Carlos Sainz was a good one too, but again, Carlos Sainz's tyres were wearing out, and I don't know how Lewis didn't get Carlos Sainz.
Great from my point of view to see an old guy doing well in Formula One. Although, when I say he's an old guy, obviously he's Fernando Alonso, one of the greatest of all time, double world champion. Bit of history between those two. I used a bit.
At McLaren.
I used the expression a bit, obviously tongue in cheek, a lot. Between Lewis and Fernando. When you think Fernando's been on the Formula One grid for when did he start? 2003 maybe?
2001.
Maybe you can write in any...
2001 it was.
2001 was it?
This is
Okay.
his 22nd year.
Wow, 22 years on the Formula
On
1
the
grid.
dot. On the dot it was.
Yeah. And only 2 world championships in that time.
Yep.
Okay, any more questions we got here?
Well, I was also wondering, like, only was it Tsunoda's second or third season at AlphaTauri?
Right.
He's now the most senior
Yuki.
driver. He's now the most senior driver at AlphaTauri because Nick De Vries is now there.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Well, to think about it, I mean, how old is he? Yuki?
Like 22, 23.
So, yeah, he's been in Formula 1 now 2 or 3 seasons maybe?
Yeah, 2 seasons.
Yeah. So, yeah, a lot of responsibility on his very young shoulders. We'll have to see how that one goes. Obviously, it takes quite a lot to lead a team in Formula 1, even if it is one of the more junior teams. But for a junior team or a middle field team, there's still a really well-known package. So, yeah, quite a lot of responsibility on Yuki's shoulders there. I think since he's been in Formula 1, there was a lot of talk about him at the beginning. We've seen some good performances from him. We've seen some average performances. So, yeah, we'll have to see how that one develops.
And another thing to add on about
Mm.
a former AlphaTauri driver,
Ooh,
Pierre Gasly.
Pierre Gasly.
Going to Alpine. It's his first ever race not in the Red Bull family, and he started 20th.
Yeah, and he started 20th. Okay, again, Pierre Gasly's won Grand Prix before now. At least one.
Imola, I think.
Imola, was it? A couple of years back. So, again,
2021.
a driver with plenty of experience. Yeah, so, okay, should we wrap it up there, Nick? Is that about all we've got to say? So, listen, guys, any comments, just let us know. Obviously, you can drop us a line in the chat. We'll be back for latest for the next race with a few more thoughts on the next. When's the next race? Where is it, Nick?
I'm not sure. I think it's Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia next.
But I'm not sure. Maybe it's Australia.
Do you remember that Saudi Arabia last year? Wasn't that where they had that big explosion? I think it is Saudi actually. Next one. I think you're right.
Yeah.
So,
but 2 years ago, if you remember, in qualifying, Max slammed it into that wall.
ooh, could have been one of the greatest laps in
Ever.
F1 qualifying history.
Probably would have been the best ever lap at Saudi Arabia.
It's certainly one of my favourites. Certainly one of my modern favourites. Anyway, I was literally standing up, holding my breath, watching him get as close to that wall as I've ever seen anybody get. Put a Formula 1 car to a wall. Fantastic stuff from Max.
Mostly too.
Just cooked it a little bit at the end. And he didn't need to.
I think mostly because he did it was he locked up, but he didn't want to back out, so he just kept pressing on the accelerator, and he lost the rear end and it slammed into the walls.
Yeah. So Saudi's up next. Big oil explosion, I think they had there last year, the year before, but there's some big incident going on. Hope that doesn't happen again next time. Yeah. So tune in again before the next race, guys, for the latest in DD and Nick's
F1 chat.
F1 chat. Latest, guys.
Bye.